The best thing that can happen to you is to find the one you love and stay happily married ever after. The worst thing that can happen is for the marriage to fail after a successful wedding. Frankly, you're better off not getting married at all than getting divorced. In fact, studies show that the financial cost of a divorce is just as much as the cost of an average wedding. But it is the emotional cost that is far more than anyone can measure. The devastation on the health and well-being of the couple and their children, in-laws, friends, the society, and ultimately the nation, it's that devastation that makes every divorce our collective problem. Strong nations are built on strong family units, but nations are weakened by divorce. So the purpose of this book is to ensure that fewer couples divorce. In fact, if we must build our nation into a most desirable society to live in, then we must strengthen our family units and have fewer divorces. Remember that marriages fail because of the things that couples typically say they can no longer live with. Yet, in most cases, these things were there before they got married, but they were blinded by love. This audiobook will get you to shine your eye so that you can see clearly now. So parents, go ahead and buy this book for your children. Friends, be good to your friend who's madly in love and is seriously dating or considering a very serious relationship. Guys, use this tool to check yourselves before you pop the question. And ladies, use this guide to evaluate your guy before you say that magic word. Yes. If I had to give this book another title, it would be Shine Your Eye. In fact, the big idea is to get singles, especially single ladies, to look before they leap. They say love is blind, but the truth is marriage is an eye-opener. I've seen far too many young people get into marriage and then begin to see and complain about things that were always there, but they just hadn't paid enough attention to while they were single. Why? Because they were blinded by the romance and the infatuation of love. I've spoken to far too many crying young couples. I've tried to dry far too many tears. My ears are almost full of complaints about how they are surprised by the obvious things that were there, but they simply didn't pay attention to or give enough consideration to when they first noticed it whilst they were dating. The result is usually a broken heart and sometimes a broken home. The best thing that can happen to you is to find the one you love and stay happily married. The worst thing that can happen to anyone is for the marriage to fail after a successful wedding. Frankly, you are better off not getting married than getting divorced. But fella, how can you say that, you may ask? Well, think about it this way. God said it is not good for man, and I believe that's male and female, to be alone. So, practically, it means God would rather that you be happily married. Then he states categorically that he hates divorce. Yet, according to a research report published by Gulner Nugman of the Heritage Foundation, divorce rates in America is 54.8% and 42.6% in the United Kingdom. Well, unfortunately, we could not find any reliable statistics for divorce rates in Nigeria. But further research shows that someone, somewhere around the world, is getting divorced every 10 to 13 seconds. Think about that. What is most amazing about this is even with Christians who believe that they heard God about their spouses. 51% of Christian marriages still end up in divorce within the first 5 years of marriage. So, how is it possible to get a word from God and still end up in divorce? Well, God endorses the union, that sacred institution called marriage. But the responsibility for the success of your marriage is still yours. So think about it this way. It's like God giving you a car, but you still have to learn to drive it. And the way you drive and maintain the car will determine whether or not you end up wrecking it, even though it was a gift from God. It's just the same with marriage. It's a gift from God, but you must maintain it and drive it carefully. If you fail to get it right the first time, it actually becomes even more difficult to get it right again. In 64% of all marriages that end up in divorce, the partners were from broken homes. So, there is a strong chance that if your marriage breaks up, your children's marriage will also break up. Now, this is a serious matter to consider. Please remember that there is no perfect man or woman out there, and searching for one will only take you on a long and lonely journey to a city called disappointment. Mr. Fantastic is not Mr. Perfect. It is just a metaphor for someone who you consider to be right for you based on your assessment. To help you assess if the one you're considering is right for you, I have developed a simple tool, an assessment tool containing 4 adjectives that describe your compatibility level for each other in 17 simple areas. And here they are. Those compatibility levels are intolerable, tolerable, compatible, and admirable. To intolerable, what you're saying is it is absolutely bad, and you're saying to yourself, I can't live with this. If it doesn't change, I'm out of here. Tolerable is not as bad as intolerable, but it is bad. But what you're saying is, I can live with it. I hope it changes though. Compatible means it is okay. I don't really have a problem with it. But admirable means it is so great, I need to step up my game to catch up. So, as we deal with each area, identify your compatibility level and, if possible, write the appropriate score in each one of them. 1 for intolerable, 2 for tolerable, 3 for compatible, and 4 for admirable. And at the end of this audiobook, all you have to do is just add up the scores and then look at the scores range for the kind of man that you're considering to spend a lifetime with. So, as you read, guys, use this tool to check yourselves before you pop the question. And ladies, use this guide to evaluate your guy before you say yes. Are you ready to find out if the one you're with is Mr. Fantastic? Let's go there. So the first area you're going to have to consider, and in my opinion, I think it's the foundation of everything else, is faith. Some people say faith is the belief in God or in the doctrine or teachings of a religion. Others say it's a system of religious belief, a strong belief in a supernatural power, or, for some people, powers. Now, if you ask almost any lady what kind of man she wants for her husband, she's likely to say to you, I want a God-fearing man. That is probably because she believes that a God-fearing man will probably be more faithful or more truthful. So, faith is on top of the list of what women want in a man. But even with that, you find out that sometimes in the infatuation of love, people with different faiths or different religious beliefs and doctrines tend to feel that it doesn't matter until sometimes later when complications begin to arise. Some people have been able to pull it off and maintain their separate religions, but you find that in most situations where the father is Muslim and the mother is a Christian, and they give the children the opportunity to decide which religion they want to practice. Even then, in most of those cases, after the wind of infatuation has blown by, some serious issues may begin to arise. Issues like what faith the family will adopt. And that's just one dimension. The one other dimension that is probably even more interesting is where the couple are both of the same faith, but they belong to different denominations. It usually doesn't matter when young people are dating, all that matters is, we are both Christians or whatever the religion that they both share. But I have seen serious complications arise from a situation where one person was raised as a Catholic and the other came into the relationship from a Pentecostal background. And it became an issue after the wedding because even within the same denomination, you'll find out that the woman may be required to leave her church to join the man in his church. In such situations, especially if the woman has been playing an active role in her church and the guy was just a passive churchgoer, it becomes a huge price to pay. And in some cases, this has led to a breakup of relationships at marriage counseling stage. So ask yourself, number one, what is his stand on his faith? And how does he approach his religion? Is his faith tolerable to you or not? Does he consider some of your actions overdoing it? Does this matter to you or not? I know a young couple who had major issues because the guy likes to pray loud and the lady liked to pray quietly. And so every time the man will pray aloud, speaking in tongues and quoting scriptures, the lady on the other hand would like to pray simple silent prayers. Soon they found out that there was some prayer incompatibility because she considered that level of audible prayers as some dimension of hypocrisy. For her, praying was getting into a closet to pray to her God so that they couldn't even pray together after some time. Of course, soon after, it began to affect other areas of their marital life. The last I knew, they were close to being separated. Another interesting angle to the faith is where you find out that one partner, let's say the guy, is very committed to his faith activities, and that takes so much of his time that he barely has time for you. You're going to have to ask yourself, can I deal with this? So ultimately, I think a few questions you must ask are you of the same faith or belief system? Do you share the same faith? What is his faith level? If you're okay with it, then that's fine. But remember that you will live with the realities that will come with that faith level because he's not likely to change as the years go by. Now, go ahead and assess him regarding his faith. Is it tolerable? Is it intolerable? Are you both simply compatible in this regard? Or is it admirable? Go ahead and score accordingly.